What do you do, my people? You know, we back with another one. I just came back from a film screening event, hosted by Awoke in association with Extension Media Lab and the Council Film Commission at Monsepetja Academy. And it was obviously a good event, but as expected, the turnover was disappointing. As always, Khutsong people are just in it for the fun. Nothing serious matters to them. So we are not surprised. It's always kind of like the same phases that not phases, but the same faces that you come across at these events, and all the other people and all the other people, were not available. It's just the usual faces, which is okay, because we kind of like creating, our own life, because Khutsong is not really accommodating for such. But anyway, we're gonna live it up, man. We're gonna live it up the best way we know how. So I went there and it's just watching a documentary titled "Dying for Gold," and it was a very, very emotional roller coaster. Me being a person that grew up around a mining town, know and understand just the effects, and me being an informed person, because I believe I'm an informed person, understand just, the repercussions of working at a mine and just the health risks involved, with working in a mine. And I was there and we discussed, a whole lot of stuff which were very serious, just how families are affected, just how, effective and well organized the mining chamber and just everybody that was involved within the mining chamber was, and just how deep the rabbit hole goes, as the great mafias would say. You know what I mean? But over and above, my take on the event is that it was needed. It's very important because a lot of young people were there. Not really a lot, but a few young people were there who are basically immersed in the arts, and they got to see this part or this side of the industry called mining, because a lot of us, have families, have brothers, have husbands and boyfriends that work in these places, and they really bring something back home. And so it can be very difficult to go into just the realities of it, and just the dark side of mining, basically. And so today we were face to face with it, because filmmakers do not really sugarcoat things, especially documentaries types, and so we got to see just the gruesome, I would say the gruesome effects of mining, how it just affects families, because it doesn't just affect the individual, and when I say the individual, it doesn't just affect the miner, it affects everybody. It affects his whole family, because a lot of the guys, that appeared on that, we are obviously in a new era where we find more women in the mining environment. So I feel like in the next 10 years or so, we are going to find, stories about women who got affected by this. But over and above, it's a story of community. It's a story of just how affected we are by these systems that, you know, we found already established. And because, you know, they're already established and there are regulations in place, and there's just a whole lot of barriers just, you know, to go over, you know, it can be really, really heartbreaking. Sometimes even leaving you hopeless, you know, to a point whereby it leaves you hopeless. But obviously, the point is never to lose hope. The point is to understand exactly what you are dealing with so that you can make better decisions going forward. But for me, as a person who likes to inform people, it was, what really haunted me was, you know, just how well designed the whole thing was, you know. And, you know, obviously, while I was talking about, you know, on the other video that I did about, you know, just the event at the Civic Center, that we need an infrastructure of the mind, that we need to build institutions of the mind. That's my whole sort of belief, that, you know, as a community, we need to build an infrastructure of the mind. And an infrastructure of the mind consists of a certain, you know, type of thought. And with that thought comes, obviously, an informed people, you know, an informed people that will be able to see their surroundings for what they are and not what they want them to be, or what, you know, the media has beautifully painted them to be, you know. But to see just how disorganized our communities are, and just how disorganized we are, and worse than disorganized, how just uninformed we are, and just how our pursuit of things like seeds, you know, of power and whatnot is really, really keeping us blinded. The infrastructure of the mind is can be simple. It's just simple to build. It just needs everybody to take the responsibility to inform themselves. It means they have to use their library facilities. They have to use the internet effectively. They have to use, you know, such platforms as the ones that, you know, the Awoke words and, you know, Monsepetja Academy are providing, and, you know, Extension Lab and the Gauteng Film Commission. If they could do that, then we would have well-balanced people with a firm foundation in understanding just what they are dealing with, and so we can actually be able to scale, you know, our maybe scale the magnitude of our problems, and in scaling them we can be able to find solutions, or just I would say solutions basically to them, because we cannot do anything without, you know, a clarity in mind. We need to have that. We need to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently and fluently, you know, and get our points across with pure understanding and simplicity. And so I realized, just, you know, when I was talking on the other video of the, you know, Civic Center event, that what we really need is not the external things. It's not, you know, the structures that, you know, the politicians usually promise us, talking about sports facilities and whatnot. Those are not the facilities that we need, because our homes can be used as spaces of just anything that we want to do, because Monsepetja Academy is actually a very great example of that, because that is actually someone's yard, and so that person used it as a place where youth can constantly visit and use the space. It's not just a place for a private property that you don't have access to. A lot of our black people have big yards, but they never host such things. And so I just wanted to talk about it a bit, and just let you in on the fact that, you making part of this would have made, a great difference, because with you being there, with you being available, we would have, in a way, had probably bigger input into it. But it is what it is. What that event showed me is that silicosis is the disease that the mind, that comes because of the mining environment. But I think there's a deeper illness that we are dealing with, and we can code it under the word ignorance, but this illness is just, for me, it's definitely ignorance. Apart from just the silicosis taking out people's lives, by actually destroying the respiratory organs, is just an illness of the mind. The fact that the most intelligent youth, the most innovative youth, would rather go drink alcohol than really participate in initiatives that really challenge us to at least make a change in the world, and not make a change for ourselves, but for our children. Because most of the people here I'm talking about, who like other events of other natures, usually have children. They are the ones that actually have more children than the rest of us. So I'm saying to you guys that you really need to, think about just how important it is to cure yourself of the illness of the mind. Silicosis, yes, it's a respiratory disease, but we have a disease in our community, a certain way of thought, a certain culture that we have developed. The mining, the results of the mining, like how it's just left our communities desolate, and now they're leaving them. Yeah, they're literally leaving them. Understand? As slums, as places where life is not conducive. Do you get what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, I really need you guys to attend next week's event. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to learn from each other. We have a lot to fix about ourselves, about our surroundings, about just everything else that we are going through. It is important for everybody to understand just how deep we are in these things. We have a lot to talk about. It's not just silicosis. The conversation just stopped at silicosis, but it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. It's economic, it's political. And it's important that we understand. I'm not saying that you should be a radical activist and go fight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying understand where you are, understand what's going on, so you can actually pave a better path for yourself and for your children. And with that said, man, I'm going to leave it here. If you don't want to take heed, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. But it's important that we attend these initiatives that are organized by young people who really see a need, to make a difference in our towns. The so-called graduates are not coming to these things. The so-called politicians were nowhere to be found. So-called politicians that care about young people, that care about the livelihood of young people. Right now, we are dealing with things like sinkholes. We are dealing with serious situations where families are kicked out of their homes to go find, to live in an RDP house after leaving a 6-room house due to policies that were in place. The likes of Des Van Rooyen talked about the demarcation movement moving us to the northwest, but they were never really open. They were never really transparent as to what was happening. They didn't want to mention, apparently, and I'm not saying this is the actual cause of this, but they never really got to mention the issue of, bad sanitation systems, like pipelines underneath us, sewage pipes and everything. They used cheap materials to build our infrastructure back then. The likes of Des Van Rooyen hid that from people. They only talked about that it's going to have a problem. I do not understand why we are not being, cognizant of what is happening around us, why we are not taking it serious. I really don't. I really wonder sometimes, what the hell? How old are these people, man? But anyway, it was a very great event that needed just your presence. We need different faces at these events, man. It can't be the same people. No. But anyway, I'm cool.